Hello, everyone. Kevin here with the Parts and Service Desk. I hope you all are doing well this evening. So glad you're here, and thank you so much for joining us. Just remember, here at the Parts and Service Desk, the cool thing about being with us is you don't need a mask to watch or have to have a vaccination, so we're really glad you're here. Tonight with us, we've got Dakota Bradley, a good friend of ours who we worked with at a dealership, and really was someone who really left a good impression on us, just like our good friend Nick Overby from the other night. Nick is a younger fella. He's been an up-and-comer in the industry for quite a while, among all the many duties that he's performed within the dealership. And we're going to be bringing him out, and that way hopefully we can give him some love and maybe even rib him a little bit, and we can have a good time and joke around. So without further ado, here we are, Mr. Nick Overby. Or wait, no, that was the other night. Nick, is it Steve? Is it Bob? Could it be Bob? Who are we having on our show again? Let's see. Dakota Bradley. That's right. We've got so many people on our list here. We just don't know. Okay, here we are. Dakota, welcome.
What's up, Kev?
Man, I tell you, you are the man of many hairstyles, haircuts, mustaches. All you need is one of them hats. And you can
know it.
Guys from like the 1920s, 30s, like one of them cowboy types.
My grandpa's had one before. I put it on. I will say I look pretty good.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to have you here, my friend. It's been a long time since we've talked, seen each other and everything. So I really appreciate you being on the show here.
Oh, no, I'm happy to be here. It's exciting. I got to watch you the other night with Nick, and man, it was good to see him. I haven't seen him for a while and hear his story. I didn't know where he had started way back when and worked his way up, kind of like I have. We definitely took different paths, but yeah, it was very interesting to hear all his stories too.
Man, I tell you,
hopefully I can live up to it.
Oh, I think you will, man. I think you will. I've been very impressed with following you over the years, and a huge advocate of you and your success. So I think you're going to go really, really far.
I appreciate that, Kev. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, as long as I can follow in your footsteps, I'll be all right.
Well, I've got pretty big shoes, but I don't walk very far. I sit down a lot. So
that's fair. That's fair. It's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I wanted to have you on for the show for is because I think with some of the positions that you started out in are very much, I think we could both probably agree that they're a sometimes overlooked, sometimes underappreciated position in a dealership as a lot porter, or even graduating to like a drive porter or service drive manager, lane manager, whatever you want to call it. Because there's a lot of people that are out there on social media with a lot of the different sites. One of my favorite, and I'll throw them a plug out there, is Service Advisor Max. And
just joined that group the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Oh,
yeah,
my goodness.
There's a lot on there that I know both you and I can relate to. And something I don't really see them talk about a lot on there is kind of the porter side of it. We heavily, as service advisors, depend on the porters. And unfortunately, I don't think we give enough credit where credit is due, because we're doing a million things a minute, just like you guys are, because there's one of you or two of you or three of you. I think at the time when you were our drive porter, I think we had like 5 or 6 of you.
Oh, it definitely went up and down. That's for sure.
Yeah. We went through a rotation there. It was like one of those revolving doors in Vegas or at the local grocery store.
No, definitely.
But I mean, it's almost in that position. You've got to hire 10 just to get 2 good ones.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
So I think that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to have you here, because in this dealership world, or the independents that utilize the aspect of having a porters, I think it's going to bring maybe a new light, and also for some of these folks, a new understanding about your point of view, as well as kind of your experience within a larger, higher volume dealership. Myself, having worked at many dealerships across the country, we've traveled with my wife's work. Also, prior to being married, I've lived in a couple different states and worked with dealerships and independents. And I don't think some folks grasp the concept of just all you're capable of doing. And that's why I kind of wanted to highlight you and showcase you, because of your awesome abilities that you showed in this position.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's going back, I think it was one of your first episodes that you had, and, just talking about training your customers. Definitely, I mean, as much as you have to deal with the customer of going out and being like, hey, you got to pull up to the doors, you got to, do that. Well, at the particular dealership that we worked out together, I do know it was an older dealership, and the doors, they weren't automatic. They didn't just come up, so we had to be out there, especially if it was raining or snowing. Most of the service advisors, were out on the drive, and so we'd have to shut the doors. Customer would come up, us lot techs, lot porters, whatever you want to call us, had to run over there, hit the buttons, let it come up, and then, without fail, every single time you had that at least one customer a day that would pull in and stop as soon as their driver's side door got through the drive, and it was like, pull all the way forward. What can we help you with? What are you here for today? Just trying to help you. And so, you'd have that one or two times the customer would pull in, get out of their vehicle, ignore you completely, because they're, they got their advisor they want to talk to, just ignore you. And you're like, hey, I either need your keys, or I need you to pull your car all the way forward. What's going on here? And so that was just, this simple aspect. But then, I mean, we're there to, park your car. We're there to wash your car at the particular dealership we were at, and so we're just there to make your life as simple as easier. And there were a couple mishaps that we had, I mean, it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen, especially at a very high volume dealership. I mean, we're gonna have mistakes. Most of the time you're having super young kids that are doing it, because we're just washing cars. We're just parking cars. There's nothing crazy, And so you come in and you're like, I want my car spotless when I get it. I mean, the cooler you are with us, absolutely, that's going to happen. But, you come in, you try and, you're just a lot tech. I mean, it's, the age old, treat the CEO like the garbage man, we're right there with you, and we're just trying to help. And so, I mean, that from the lot porter side of that, that was my experience, and definitely is an interesting one, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, because you were still, when you started working with us, if I recall, you were still in high school. You were coming to us right after school.
I just graduated.
Okay, and so it's not like the typical job. If you're not a car person, you wouldn't understand. And coming to us, you have to have some interest in cars to
for sure.
But it's a learning curve for you. It's a training process for you. All the while you're in the process of, like you said, training our customers, getting them in the door and showing them what to do. And these are regular customers, people that have been there multiple times, coming in for years, and they still just can't seem to figure it out. And it's mind-boggling to me, but that's what we're there for. That's ultimately our job. And as much as I, like a lot of folks on social media, just love the wonderful rant and rave, it irks me a little bit that in today's day and time, as much information as we have, folks still can't decipher between an entrance at a Jiffy Lube or an entrance at a dealership. And
big difference. Difference. Big difference in experience too, if you have the right attitude.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's amazing of everything that a porter can do. The thing that I really admire about some of the management staff we have is they sometimes, I mean, I wholeheartedly admit you guys were very overworked, but it's kind of the grunt position of the dealership.
Absolutely.
And as you graduate to every level, your role in some aspects might get a little easier physically, but it can still be more demanding.
Oh, for sure.
It's really, and I think with a lot of the shops out there, no matter what size they are, I have seen over the years that they really don't fully, respectfully to say, take advantage of all of what a porter can do. Now, granted, you were our porter manager for a little while, alongside of another gentleman there. Yeah. And it was great. Now, for those that know Dakota, know what I'm going to say here, but for those that don't know Dakota, Dakota is at the time 18, 19, but he has got the mentality and the heart of a 35, 40-year-old person that's been in the business for a long time, has his head screwed on straight, and just really has a drive and passion. And for his age group, and he and I have had this discussion many a times, he is not the typical, which unfortunately he'll even tell you that their generation is a bad name. He's not the typical millennial. And he is definitely stands out from the crowd and always puts his best foot forward and makes the best of every day. And it's funny to say how, being older, you can look at someone younger and respect them for who they are and really admire their work ethic. So kudos to you on that.
I appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah. So with your position at the dealership, now obviously we were introduced to each other at the older dealership we worked at, and then we went to the newer dealership.
That was a great time.
Yeah, I want to let folks know a little bit more of what you did. Now, you started out, if I recall, were you a sales porter for a short time?
Oh, I never worked on I always worked with the service side.
Okay.
I definitely know the ins and outs of the service side, just because of that older dealership. You know, we had one side was service, one side was sales, and I was lucky enough to be able to work with both sides and different aspects. So I definitely understood that, especially when I did get that, you know, promotion, if we want to call it that, the more stress to have to do that lot porter manager position, you know, with having to, you know, greet all the customers. And that one, that's where it really took effect, of having to train the customers. So pull forward all the way. Don't stop right as soon as you come in the door. What can we help you with? And I was also that buffer of where, you know, before they came to the, you know, a person like you, the service advisor, and they were hot, just pissed about something that had gone on with the car, which rightfully so. I mean, I think anybody that goes into the dealership has already got themselves, in a sense, hyped up, and they're already got something going on, right? And I was just that middleman of, okay, take it out. I got big shoulders. Let's hear it. What do you got? What do you got? They get all pissed off and say, okay, calm down. You got that out. Okay, let me take you to this advisor. They can help you out. And it was my job to, you know, kind of know what all you guys kind of had your specialties in, and what customers what advisors handled the more angry customers, what ones handled the more understanding customers, you know, and stuff.
Matching.
And that was, yeah, exactly. And I was playing matchmaker, and that was definitely a lot more stressful. And then along with those duties, I had to, you know, go and take and drop off certain different accounts and whatnot. We had some pretty big accounts with that dealership, and, you know, it definitely got to where, you know, I had to build a relationship not only with the customers and the advisors, but also with sales side, and also with our direct, those big account customers that I have to have a relationship with and know and understand what they expected too, and keep that expectation up. So no, definitely, I definitely understood all aspects of sales and service side, but never actually worked as a sales porter, thank goodness, because those guys, you got to deal with salesmen every day, and kudos to them. Yeah, kudos to them.
For some reason, I was thinking that you were there for like a few weeks, and then we realized your potential and plucked you for the service side.
No, definitely,
but
didn't happen that way, thank goodness.
That might have been somebody else. But one of the things I think that I really want to highlight is, it's kind of a two-part. You got a fair amount of training, because you did have a couple older gentlemen that worked in the drive with you that kind of took you under their wing and showed you some stuff for the youthful gentleman you are. And a lot of it, you really put two and two together, use that rare thing called common sense, and really kind of learn the role. And the thing that I wanted to kind of talk about on that is having the opportunity to work at so many different dealerships. There's only been really probably 3 dealerships I could think of that actually had great staffing and understood the concept from start to finish, with the customer, with the porters, to the drive people, whether it be quick lane or service. And it's a huge difference. And really shows the strengths of a dealer when they really put everybody on the same page. For example, here in the Midwest, when I was living in a state before I am now, they, prior to me getting there, didn't have the best porters. They did get a younger gentleman that finally came in that could have been a mirror to yourself, a distant second, but not a close twin, but a distant second. Young in the right, but it's a different mentality here in the Midwest. It's not high volume. They would do a fourth of the volume per day that we would see out there. If you recall, we were doing anywhere between 215 to like 290, sometimes above 300 on busy days, cars per day.
Oh yeah.
Not including our BDC folks taking all the calls to help field those for us.
Oh yeah, I definitely knew the days that the car wash stopped working. I had to hand wash every one of those things. Man, oh man, I don't miss those days.
Well, there's a lot of folks in social, man. I tell you that no one likes the car wash because none of the scratches that were already pre-existing on the car were there until after that car wash.
Absolutely not.
So,
nope. Every one of them gets highlighted and they all just happen.
Oh yeah. They all just magically appeared. Or the Ever Since Club. Ever since you changed my windshield wiper blades and I left without even going through your car wash, I got a big dent on the side of my car.
Oh, yep. Been there.
Yeah, we had a couple of those.
One or two.
So, something that I think is really, really neat. We ended up working together again at this dealership. And then when we moved over to the newer building, you ended up taking on the role of the PDI specialist or PDI manager. And for those that don't know, that might be in the independents, that stands for pre-delivery inspection, which whenever and it can be a porter, it could be a lot or drive manager or someone that could be designated this role. Your larger dealerships will usually have more than one person or have an alternate or backup. But sometimes, even in a large dealership, you only have
just got one.
This guy right here, this guy. Now, there were a couple people ahead of him, but then when they realized how good he was, he kind of made himself a mistake, and they realized they only needed one guy because Dakota was
that was a mistake that I will forever haunt me.
Now, how good was Dakota at doing the PDIs? Well, let's see.
72 one day, Kev. 72 one day.
People aren't going to believe that. Now, what does that translate into? How many delivery trucks is 72 cars in one day?
They just keep coming at that point. That was a crazy time in my life. I'll tell you that much, Kev. It was a good thing I was single. I was in my early 20s. Definitely was a good thing. Like you said, there was definitely people before me, but I definitely took it and was like, you know what, let's make the most out of it. And I did unfortunately show them like, hey, you only need one person. I got it. And build up respect with my drivers. I text them every morning, be like, hey, what do you got for me today? And there was a core few that would always text me every day, whether they had cars for me or not. And sometimes they'd be like, hey, I got 4 for you. And I'm like, okay. All right, 4 days, which was a very, very rare occurrence. So on minimum, usually I had at least 8 to 9 cars a day that I would physically have to touch every single one. There wasn't any, sometimes I would have somebody that could help me park them in the dealership, but most of the time I was running back and forth. Like I said, thank God I was in my early 20s because nowadays, that would be rough. But
you were running.
No, that 72 car day, it was 2 brothers actually that were the drivers that day, and they both texted me. Were like, hey, I got a lot coming your way, and I was like, how many? They're like, a couple sheets. And so in aspect here, I don't have a piece of paper. So you get a piece of paper, carbon paper, have all the VINs on them. And you gotta check them in. You gotta put codes if there's dents or something missing or something like this. But usually multiple sheets meant there was 8 cars to a load, and there was a lot of them. And I think that day, I saw both of them 5, 6 times each. 8 cars. Truck was maxed out, and I mean, I was putting cars, the sales side, the service side. We had a dirt lot down the road. I was putting them down there, and I probably got there 6 a.m. that morning. Usually didn't happen that early, but that particular time got there about 6 a.m. I don't think I left till 10, 11 at night.
Yeah.
And 72 later, that was definitely a day that I earned some much needed respect at that dealer. And I tell you what, it was one of the most stressful days because, you know, you got to think every car, at least, you know, between 15 to 50, 60 grand. And I had all the keys in one place, and it was I had a backpack, little blue backpack. I don't know if you remember it.
I do remember.
I bought that the first day I was doing PDIs, and that backpack made me a lot of money. Probably cost me like $12 for that backpack, but made me a lot of money. And every single one of those 72 keys stayed on me until they were parked and went up to the key vault. But every single one of them was in that backpack till that day was over. And
yeah,
it was a long day.
Well, that's where, and for those again that aren't aware, you know, typically you see 8 vehicles on a semi that brings the cars to the dealership, and now that can vary. Now, if you figure 8 cars, 72 cars was his most he had in a day. That's 9 tractor trailers, and it sometimes could have been more. You know, if you figure he might have had 3 Super Duties on the top and a couple F-150s on the bottom, well, that might be 6 cars or 6 cars and trucks. I mean, it could vary. So, I mean, there's all different kind of ways you can look at that. But there again, that was the highest count in one day, but it was not uncommon to have 30, 40, 50 on a day.
Right at that dealership, it was normally anywhere between 50 to 60-ish cars a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it did have its slow times, but it was average I would say average between 40 to 50, but every once in a while it would bump up to that 64. And I had probably countless 64 car days just because it was just that busy. Now, most of, you know, I get all the cars done when I got them the same day? I tried to. Did it happen every time? Absolutely not. I'm not even going to try and fib that one, but I definitely drive around and see some smaller dealerships, and I'm like, I've PDI'd that many cars in one day. So definitely the volume that store had was well beyond what I believe, you know, most dealerships have. And I still think back to, I can't believe that I used to do that alone.
I hope our old GM isn't watching.
Oh yeah, no.
Because he thinks you did every one of them every day that you got them.
Yeah, no, there was a couple times, you know, that I may or may not have got a couple done one day, and he definitely noticed, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, and again, that's to put that into an idea for you. When I moved here to the Midwest, the one Ford dealership I was working at as a writer, you know, because I went down in roles compared to being the accessories director where I left there. They would see with 3 advisors, 35 to maybe 40 vehicles a day. Really, really super busy, which was rare. They might get 60 to 70. But usually 35 to 45 would be fair to say on a daily in the way of customers coming in the door. Not a lot of phone calls. We didn't have a BDC. We just had a receptionist that was answering the phone and just throwing it wherever. I mean, that's how not busy we were. And the very first week I was there, 2 things struck me as odd. And it's crazy how when you can go from one dealership to another. And the first thing that kind of struck me odd was it took 3 weeks to do a lift on a Super Duty. And I was telling Nick about this last week. And that takes 1 day at any other dealership or shop to do. And it takes them about a week to do 5 to 7 PDIs total.
That's insane.
Not a week.
I mean, you have a time limit of if there's any damage, anything missing. I mean, there was multiple times I'd have, you know, sometimes it was just a bad day for the driver. And I mean, he'd come and there would be 3 or 4 missing keys.
Yeah.
And each one of those has to have a code, and it has to be reported within, I believe, 48 hours, at least for
Right.
the dealership we were working at. And it blows my mind that's insane.
Mhm.
A whole week to do that many. I mean, easy. If I had 4 cars in the day, it was a no-brainer. I could do those, and I wouldn't even have to like break a sweat. There'd be no running around. I wouldn't even. It'd be like, 4 cars. All right, let's go. Even 8 cars, honestly.
Then you
That's
disappear.
a day.
We never see you again.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go down to Beto's, get a burrito. Hey, Kev, you want anything? I'm going to the gas station.
Beto's.
Oh, I love
Beto's.
that place.
So if you're not in the Salt Lake, Draper, Sandy area, there is a huge chain of Mexican restaurants. It varies different names. One of my favorite sit-down restaurants is in the Sandy area, called Los Cucos.
Mm-hmm.
Very good sit-down restaurant. It used to be the old Johnny Carino's right there.
Yeah.
Right across from a Grass Fish House, which they shut down. But Los Cucos is a great sit-down restaurant, but the ones that Dakota's talking about were kind of like all converted fast food restaurants that went out of business. Mm-hmm. And there was a chain of them called Beto's. And oh my gosh, breakfast, lunch, didn't matter. Burritos that were like as big as your head.
Yeah, I mean, ginormous.
Man,
and you could have one 8 a.m. and you wouldn't need to eat again until it was dinner time.
Yeah.
But oh man, yeah, that was a good day. It was slow. I was definitely there.
We don't have any of those Beto's type places here in Indiana. I wish we did.
Rough.
Yeah, at least I haven't found one in our small little town yet. So hopefully we'll get one here soon. That would be nice.
I hope so.
But so when you, and again, just kind of talking about everything, when you weren't doing PDIs, I know shortly after you started as the PDI person, I took over as the accessories director. And
that was a good combo. I'll tell you what, that was a good combo.
Yep, we had a lot going on there. Let everyone know, what were you doing when you weren't doing that? You mentioned earlier you were helping out, do deliveries. I know there was quite a few different things going on.
So just stemming from my, experiences, the lot porter side and, the lot porter manager and having that role of having to have a relationship with different accounts or whatnot. So when I moved over to the PDI side, which was coincidentally on the sales side of that dealership,
right?
That's kind of how I got both sides or whatnot. You were over there on the sales side doing your accessory thing, but I mean, I was helping you put on accessories. I was doing the centuries, which, was a totally different animal in itself. I was also still running and doing those deliveries for our big accounts. I would run out the California Avenue down the road and take them their cars, or I would go up to, 21st South and take them their cars. And I, just was doing all that stuff on top of those days that I was doing the 8 cars, whatnot. When it started bumping up, I would say, the average day, if I had 30 cars, I would still, no sweat, still go and do those errands, run those deliveries or whatnot. But when they started going up and it was like, hey, Dakota, hey, I really need you today to go do this. And I was like, yeah, I got all this to do. And so it definitely was quite the adventure having to, go about and do the deliveries there and do the, help you with accessories, and also on top of it doing the pre-delivery inspections, And, we've talked in the past about how these smaller, dealerships, in the Midwest and, I just up the canyon, I'm looking at these dealerships and, they get 7, 8 PDIs in a week. And I get everything slowed down now with everything with the pandemic and whatnot. But at that time, it was as fast as I was getting them, sales was selling them. And it was, insane because I do believe, no secret, we worked at the Ford store. There was the RS that came out, the Ford Focus RS, the new style Raptor, the STs, I believe, the second generation STs came out. Right as I was leaving is when the ST Edge came out.
Yep.
and it was all the rave, and and also the GT350s also.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't tell you how many of those I got. And so, and those just cause so much issues because everybody wants to come out. Everybody wants to see them. Everybody, especially the first ones we get, everybody wants, and, you know, my job's there to get it off, you know, have the driver get off the truck and then make sure nobody touches it until it's done.
Yeah.
You know, cause I got, with the pre-delivery inspection, if, you know, anybody wants to know,
Hide the key. Hide the key.
Right. Exactly. And hey, I have a customer that wants that. I have a customer. Hey, that was a classic. Yep. You know, the first couple of times I fell for that. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll hurry and get it done. No, the salesman just wants to go and drive it down the road. So caught on to that definitely very early on, luckily. But, you know, I got to take it out of delivery mode, which if you don't know how to do it, it's super easy, but it's one of those little trade secrets you don't tell anybody if you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, take the plastic out. You gotta, you know, get the key codes and all that with Ford, and so it just makes it all kind. And there's a process. At least I had a process.
Well,
and if it got screwed up, it was rough.
Well, and some of the folks that I work with, and I maybe you can give us like a quick couple second rundown of that, but I used to tell folks, this is what this guy did. He started here, did this. Tell us real quick, what was your process? If you had your cars, how would you get them set up? Would you line them up? And then how would you do it? How would you get 5 cars ready to go on the line?
So, yeah, so I'll take it and I'll just go through a 4-car day just because it's much easier to explain. So at the dealership we were at, I had a space that was designated for mine. It wasn't supposed to be, but I definitely moved some cones around to make sure that was my designated area. So I've had a 4-car day that was 1 lane. And, you know, I'd get it, the truck would pull up in the middle of the road, pull up, get the cars off, park them. And, you know, like I was saying earlier, I have a good relationship with my drivers. They, you know, before they even get to me, they're like, oh, okay, there's a scratch here, there's a scratch there. Here's the code for this, here's the code for that. So, and, you know, after time, you know, you build up a trust. You know, you have to double check it. Honestly, you know, that might get somewhere out there, but definitely, I mean, most of those drivers, I'm there to make their job easier. They're there to make my job easier. We both get dinged if we miss something, right? And so I'd go through, get the paperwork, go around, you know, give them a brief overview. Okay, there's nothing there. Okay, sign off. Here's your piece of paper. I take mine. I'd then walk in. There was a computer that I would print stickers off of that have like the stock number, the VIN number. You can scan it so you can put it into the system for the sales side. They make sure it's in inventory, all that fun stuff. Go and get those stickers, come back. And I'd always take the keys with me in that blue backpack I was talking about that made me a lot of money. That was that if that backpack was not around, there was an issue unless it was with me. If that backpack disappeared, there was somebody that I was going to find and I wasn't going to be happy. But so I take that backpack with the keys in it. I'd go and put that stock number with those keys, put that all together. I'd walk it back out to the car, then take out all the plastic out of the row of cars, you know. And I think for the most part, I would start on I would go down the driver's side because I had to take all the keys. So I'd take the keys, put them back in the vehicles, take them out of delivery mode, take all the plastic out, put them in the passenger side, and then go through. And I mean, I would go and take them out of delivery mode, take all the plastic out, put the stock number on them. At that current time, I was putting vehicle theft registration on them. So for those people that don't know what that is, it's a little tag that goes in the door jamb. And at this specific time, we were etching the windows as well. And so I would go around and put on all those little stickers on all the door jambs. And then they go on the hood and the tailgate or lift gate or trunk or whatever type of vehicle it is. Go around, put those on, etch all the windows, and then come back around and grab all the plastic. And then after that, it was park the car, take the keys, put them in the key vault, go back, get the next one, park it. And that's how the process was. And that was day in and day out. And it didn't matter if there was that was just specifically a 4-car day. If it was that, like for instance, that 72-car day, that just made it that much more stressful.
Oh, yeah.
Because that area, I had four
So you have
lanes.
like 4 lanes, yeah, like 4
Yeah,
driving
and I
lanes.
mean, depending if they were Super Duties or Fiestas. If they were Fiestas, I could put 5 in a row. If they were Super Duties, it was 3.
Yeah.
And so that anyway, I only normally had like 20 cars in that area. And so if you can imagine 72, like I said, I had south side that was that. The dirt lot down to the the east of us. I guess that was the west. And then over on the service side, and again, same process for everything, but I can't leave the keys in the car because
Mhm.
salesmen like to come around. Oh, hey, I have a customer for this. Oh, I'm gonna fix it. Especially if it was on the end. If it was an in car, those keys did not get left in that car.
Oh yeah.
And even there was multiple times I would, and the Explorers were the classic one that would always disappear. The keys would always disappear. And there was more than once that I had to go out on the showroom and ask for the keys back. And, and I'd have salesmen argue with me, and I'm like, you
I'm
can't sell
selling
it
the
yet.
car. I'm selling it now.
Yep. And that was a classic. And, the first couple of times they were with the customer, I, let them, but, salesmen are salesmen. They want to sit there, and talk and, want to go on and on. And, oh, yeah, we'll have the car ready for you. No, you won't. It's not done yet, So after a while, I had to, learn how to go up to the salesman and be like, hey, I'm going to need those keys. Well, I'm trying to sell the car, just like you were saying. But, okay, you understand, the car cannot be sold until I have those keys and it gets put into the system. Until it's in the system, you can't do anything. And so definitely had to learn how to do that. And, again, prior experience of being the having to be the middleman for everybody, go up to the, learn the different salesmen that, at least stuck around. Hey, let me get those keys. I'll bring you the keys back, but we got to make sure it goes through the process. You can have the keys after that, And so, definitely there was a process. And don't break. If you get a process going, don't break it.
Yeah, you got to keep in the process. Don't let anybody change your mindset or try to make you go through, especially when you got those strange, crazy customers that like carry their dogs around by their necks.
God, man, I remember that day, Kev. I remember I walked in with another customer.
It's kind of like a
you were back in the back row at advisors, and you were like sitting there like this, just pointing. And I was like, what? And I looked over, and I'm like, so I walked back over, and you're like, look at that dog, and I was like, oh my gosh. Oh.
People don't realize. I mean, like literally, it was just.
Oh yeah, no, dude, full on. Like there was it was full neck, and the dog was perfectly happy. It was,
It was the craziest thing, I tell you. It was absolutely the craziest thing.
Oh yeah, no, I can't ever forget about those. Those customers are definitely the highlights.
Carry a dog, drink coffee, and eat a donut, all while walking around because you're too nervous, Nelly, to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my favorites. One of my favorites.
That's a classic. That is definitely a classic.
So over the years, you've had quite a few different things. And this is kind of the part of the show where it's like, hey, we always we're in the car business. We like to know what each of us got. So tell us a little bit. You sent us some pictures in, and let's talk about what we got here.
So that was the first car that I ever bought because I was working at the dealership, and it was a 2006 Grand Cherokee. Nothing crazy, base model, nothing over the top. Had I don't even it didn't even have, actually, when I bought it, it didn't have any fog lights. I actually had to put those in myself.
Right.
And no, that was a fun Jeep. That front bumper is actually bed lined. I for little extra fun over there on the south side, did bed liners for a little while. Apologize to anybody that got a truck that I bed lined, because that was quite an experience. But we bed lined that front bumper. That was a blast. Me and my cousin actually made the mounts for that light bar. At the time, I searched far and wide on the internet and could not find brackets for that light bar. And we actually had to make that. And other than that, I mean, besides wheels and tires, that Jeep pretty much was stock. I definitely had some good times in it. That particular time, I went out to Strawberry Reservoir and took the kayaks out. But no, definitely was a fun car. Definitely, it was first adventure vehicle I'd ever had. I had cars before that, but that was the first off-road vehicle I ever had. So that was a lot of fun.
I remember the Lunchmobile.
Oh yeah, my that car I absolutely hate with a passion, but it's probably the car I miss the most. That car actually came from right before that I had a 2000 Nissan Altima, and it was one of those ones that you have a check engine light on, you know, oh hey, I gotta hurry and clear the code. Let me go drive it around for a second. Hope to God that the check engine light stays off and it'll pass emissions. And it came October, time for me to do that again. I just was over it, and I happened to see the price tag of one of the Ford Fiestas at the time, and went, oh man, okay, hey, let's do this. And so I traded that in for this beauty that you see now, the 2016 Ford Fiesta. And
you only that was like a couple $100 a month, I think, was that one there.
Oh yeah,
Ford had all those
cheap
specials out there.
Yeah. But I made sure I definitely got the 5-speed. Didn't get the ST. It was just a just a little. I think it was just a little 4-cylinder. And man, I'll tell you what, that was the most fun to drive. I could ever go back and get any one of my cars back that I've had. It would be that one. It was the most fun to drive. That particular instance, me and the girlfriend took the kids to ride our bikes. And what you can't see in this picture is the extra bike that's on the back bike rack. It's on the back.
Oh, wow.
But I actually took that car up part of these Canyon a couple of times looking just like that. And people would give me weird looks and be like, what the heck? I'll tell you what, that car was so much fun. And
that's a load for that Fiesta.
Oh yeah, no. And I other than tint the windows and plastic up the rims, that car had nothing done to it. There was nothing crazy. It was just a little 5-speed Fiesta.
But we gotta be honest. The reason why you tinted the windows wasn't because you were doing anything that you weren't supposed to be doing. You were wanting to hide the fact that you had a stash of burritos in your front seat in one of those warmers. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So
yeah, no, that car was
graduated to the big guy's toy.
Oh yeah, and then me and the girlfriend moved in together, and she was like, "Hey, you really don't need 2 cars." And she said that for a couple months, and I was like, "You know what? You're right. And so I crunched the numbers and figured out that I could get that beauty right there. And ever since, I've had that since 2018, and that's we've been a lot of places in that truck now, and it's definitely been fun. It definitely turned out to be a lot more expensive just because of all the accessories that you can put on and the capability of that truck that you can, it's, I would say if Toyota does anything like Ford did with the Bronco, that would be the vehicle they need to do. It definitely does, aftermarket wise, have many accessories you can do for it, but Ford keeping everything in-house, making everything super accessible. If Toyota follows that with their Tacoma, it's game over. I think there would be some serious competition. They're definitely not the same type of vehicles, but they definitely got something going there. But there you go again with the kayaks. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Well, they've got their niche market, and I see, because you know me, I'm a huge accessories fanatic, and I noticed you've got headlights and taillights, you've got the light bar, you've got the upgraded roof rack.
The headlights and taillights were the first things to go away from stock. The fog lights were actually the very first thing. I definitely had to get those ambers. Being here in Utah, it starts snowing, and everybody, I want big and bright lights. I just want my amber lights. You can see through everything, dust, snow, rain, any of it. And so that was the first thing to go, and then it was the headlights and taillights, just to again go to that brighter, kind of dress it up a little bit look. But you
need to get you one of them racks for the bed there. That way you can haul more of the kayaks up front, then you don't lose your bed.
Yeah, I've thought about it here and there. I do believe I sent you another. Yep, there it is. So I do have the bed bars. I don't have the bed rack though. It's been considered. I don't know if I personally like the tent being up that high just for everything purposes. Kind of make clearance. Don't want to take it off after a weekend having fun. Have to go to work and park in the parking garage. Starts to cause issues there. I know it's a pavement princess 85% of the time. I'm not even going to try and lie about that. It definitely is a pavement princess, grocery getter, mall crawler, whatever we want to call it. But for the most part, yeah, it definitely has its perks.
Yeah.
It's actually the second rooftop tent me and the girlfriend have had. The first one we decided was too small.
Mm-hmm.
So that one came along. That tent's actually 7 feet long by 8 feet wide when it's fully open like that.
Yeah.
And so me and the girlfriend and our 2 kids in there, we definitely have a good time. But that's actually up at Strawberry, and that it definitely gets used. Like I said, it's the second adventure mobile we've had, and that definitely has been a much needed upgrade from the Jeep. But
well, it looks like you've been doing a lot of fun. You got probably another buddy of yours there with you with a camper shell on the back of yours here.
Yeah, he's the reason I got the Tacoma. His is actually a 2010, same setup as mine though. It's the Sport, so it has that hood scoop that everybody loves. But yeah, that's actually the winterized version of my truck. Is I put on the shell in the wintertime just to keep everything dry and have that extra bit of space there. But definitely fun. I definitely have way too many accessories for it. Like you were saying, I got the roof rack for it, the aftermarket roof rack, which is by a great company called Prinzu. They make a ton of different accessories, and they definitely have latched onto that Toyota not having their own personal aftermarket for the Tacomas, and definitely have went a few or far and above. They've definitely done a great job there. But yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about that Tacoma. I can't ever get rid of it. That's the car that I've actually had the longest. I was actually doing the math the other day, and ever since I left the dealership world, I went out with that truck, and I haven't looked back. I was getting a new car every 2 to 3 years. That one I've had for 4 now, and I don't have any. Even with the inflated prices of everything and all that, I have no desire to get rid of that truck.
Well, and it'll hold its value. I mean, we all know the Tacomas have great resale value. They're very capable vehicles. I mean, I owned a Toyota once. I don't know if you know that.
I actually do think I saw a picture the other day. I saw you on another podcast, I think.
Yeah, and you got to have that pose.
Yeah, with that one. Yep.
So
there's that little swagger behind it.
Yeah, you got to have the swagger, but I had it. Now this is an older picture when I still had the chromies that came with the truck when I bought it. Had the chrome bumper, but I changed all that and I put the 4Runner bumpers on it. I had to make sure I advertised all the stuff that I had installed on the vehicle by placing the Fast and Furious stickers on the door there. They didn't make it go any fast, and nor was it any more furious than what it normally was. But then it was upgraded with a C-notch 4-link kit. When airbags were just starting out, eBay had some airbag kits that I put on it that worked when they worked and didn't when they didn't. But you got to have the style, the look, and I think to add a little bit of humor, you had a style and a look going on there too. I didn't have the gauges, but
man.
I kind of had that little thing right. I kind of got it now.
Yeah, it's definitely changed the top. Definitely got the mustache going on now. That's fun. That was a Saturday. That was one of my dress down days as the lot porter manager. But yeah, that was a good time. And just to go back to that aspect, I mean, if you're anywhere in the dealership world, anywhere, you got to take care of the people around you. I was lucky enough very early on in the car world. I had Saturdays off for the most part, which if anybody who works in the car dealership that's listening, you all just took what? Saturdays off?
I was lost without you on Saturday.
Not going to tell you how I did that. We're just going to ignore that. But there was a couple Saturdays I had to work, and just it's a small gesture. You just gotta. For the most part, I'd stop at the gas station, grab a dozen donuts. I mean, I'd walk around, make sure all the lot porters got them. After that, there was many a times if I was feeling real good, I get 2 dozen donuts, and everybody in the service department got donuts. And it was just little things like that. You take care of people, people take care of you. And so then there was, on the flip side of that, there was multiple times. I know you, for instance, would come in with stuff like that, and I mean, or if there was, you as the advisors, it was super busy. You guys get lunch. I'd bring in donuts, and then the next week, hey, we got extra, sandwiches. Dakota, hey, come on back. No, nobody else was getting that offer.
Yeah.
It's small little things. So you just got to take care of each other. You're all living in the same world at that dealership. We know it sucks. We know we got those crazy customers that come in on Saturdays, and you don't want to deal with them, but
they all come in.
There you go. I actually do believe that was on a Saturday too. The funny thing about that. And so you got to take care of each other. You're all there, experiencing the same thing. Y'all got to deal with the same people.
Now,
and if you're a customer out there, they're not trying to screw you. I promise. They're trying to take care of you. It is stressful and it sucks. And I've been there, even being in the dealership world, and it sucks. It sucks taking it into service. But if you're cool, you're understanding. I know it's tough times right now. There's no loaners. There's no, you want everything done now. Everything's on back order. You got to go with the flow. You got to just relax and go with it. And I guarantee your experience at that dealership from that time on, if you are understanding and you want to just go with the flow, is going to be, if you continue to go back to that dealership, it's going to continually get better after that. Because not only is the service department going to remember you, but they're going to remember you in a good way, and they're going to want to make sure that you get taken care of. They're trying to take care of everybody else, but they're going to make an exception for you and really get you taken care of.
And for any of the customers that might be watching this or could be watching this in the future, because all of our live streams are always saved on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else on the interwebs. With this whole pandemic that's been going on from 2020 and carried over into 2021, it seems like customers, it really probably is everybody, but when you're on the customer service side, taking care of the customer, serving the customer, a lot of us feel like customers have forgotten to talk to people. It's like, how do they do it? I mean, they're yelling, they're ranting, they're raving. We take mental note of that. A lot of us in the business, we don't know your name all the time, unless you're one of our individual regulars as an advisor or like yourself, you see the same guy all the time. We know you by your face and by your car. We really are car people. You could have a medium Wedgwood blue Ford Explorer, and we know the last time you came in, you had 157,000 miles on it. It's an Eddie Bauer. You might have shoulder length hair, male or female, whatever. And we know if you were super cool and you just want information, or if you weren't so super cool and might have been a super jerk, we remember that. We mentally kind of remember what you did maintenance wise or what you didn't do. So we're going to ask again and really try to make sure we do our best. Unlike a lot of the ones that are out there, and I just saw yesterday or today online on social media where someone had posted, they got a phone call on a Sunday and the sales was open, but service was closed, and they demanded that they open up and service their car on Sunday. No, you're not
going to happen.
Each individual customer, we treat like an individual as fairly as we can with the most respect we can. But as much as we do our best to go above and beyond, bend over backwards, go out of our way to take care of you, because we are constantly, bombarded and beat down by these manufacturer surveys. You don't get enough special treatment to where the dealership opens up for you on a Sunday, or at least a particular department if they're closed on a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever the case may be. Sorry, you're just not that special. We love you, but you're not that special.
Yeah, no surveys. I mean,
God.
I mean, now everybody's entitled to a bad experience, but I mean, if something didn't go your way, you don't got to give somebody a 1-star survey. I mean, as much as I thankfully wasn't ever directly impacted by one of those surveys, but I've heard stories, I've heard great stories, I've heard horror stories. I mean, you customers out there, if you're listening, just if you've had a negative experience, that's rightfully so. But remember, everybody's human. They're, again, these high volume dealerships. There's you were saying, Kev, almost 300 cars in a week. No, not a week. Was it a week?
We could have up to 300
Yeah.
times in a day during our busy
Ah,
month and a half,
I mean,
2 month
a
period every
day,
summer.
and there's that many. So, I mean, if the advisor missed a phone call from you and you had to call them, chances are that advisor probably was helping 10 other people that had just came in.
Yeah.
That's, to me, you got to understand, everybody's human. If you go out to dinner, the waitress doesn't fill up your water cup right away. It's the same thing. They got 5 other tables they're trying to take care of. The restaurant's busy. You just don't see it because you got to drop off your car, get a ride home. You're in the waiting room. You took an Uber and went over to the mall to get a hot dog. Like, I mean, you just don't see how busy they are. Just give your advisors a break. Give them what they deserve, but don't overdo it because you're not helping anybody. Because all that's going to do is the next time you go in, you get the advisor a bad review when they were doing their best for you. You come in and they're just going to be even more stressed out because they're going to try and give everybody that 5-star, which 90% of the time, most of the advisors are trying to give you that 5-star. And, 90% of the time they're succeed. But there's that 1, 2, 3 times that they missed that phone call, or they didn't get your car done when it was supposed to because something went wrong, or something happened with the mechanic and the mechanic wasn't understanding or something. Just got to be understanding that everything happens and give them a break.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. Now, you're not in the dealership side anymore.
No,
but you're with the same company, so we don't have to mention that, but you're with the same company. Yeah. So what are you doing now?
So I currently, I didn't get enough of the customer service side. So I'm currently working close with the dealerships on the aftermarket warranty side. Okay. So, that's when you go into the finance side and the finance guy tells you, here, sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, sign there. there is things that you just signed for that you don't know you signed for if you weren't listening. Those are 90% of the time.
Not listening.
Exactly. And you sign the paperwork. You knew there was something there. I get buying a car. Me personally, I don't have that issue because, I know the people to go to. One of the perks about having to putting in years of dealership, you learn who to go to and who to not. But you're gonna have that experience of you're at the dealership for 5, 6, sometimes 9 hours at the dealership. You just want to go out of there. Take a minute. Once you go into finance, the finance guy's gonna talk really fast. It's gonna be really scary. Take a minute. Take a breather. Ask them. It's their job to explain to you what you're getting. What Nick just said there. You got to read the fine print. There's always something there. Personally, I after working at this company now, anything I get, you just got to read it. A brief overview. Hey, what's this? It all costs extra, whether you think it is or not. It's going into your car payment. It's going to be extra. 90% of the time, most of those contracts, they're going to get you somewhere. But I got to deal with those customers, nowadays that are like, "Oh, I didn't sign up for that." Okay, all right. Here's a cancellation form. How can what can we do? What it's not my job to okay, hey, what's the situation here? Why don't you want it anymore? Every once in a while, I ask the customer, like, hey, so what's the deal? I just don't feel it's right for me. Well, why is that? And there's been multiple times that I've just just out of curiosity, had a conversation with the customer, and they just aren't understanding of it. And you start to break down. Well, this is what it covers. This is what it does. And so it just takes that extra second to oh man. Yeah, those people make my job really, really fun. Yeah, so it just takes a minute to explain to them the situation, explain to them what their contracts that they cover that they thought were free that they were thrown in with the car.
Bumper to bumper.
There is no bumper to bumper contract. I'm gonna be honest with every single one of you. There's no bumper to bumper contract, and I cannot repeat that enough. It may cover most components from bumper to bumper, but it does not cover everything. Even the bumpers, 90% of the time, are not covered.
So
But
secret out there, I used to work with the same company Dakota does. And we used to say bumper to bumper covers what's between the bumpers, above or below the bumpers. One of our coworkers used to be real famous at that.
Yep.
And it definitely always cracks me up that a lot of it is sometimes word usage, or comprehension, understanding, or listening or lack of listening on both parties, because you really have to listen to your customer, as well as make sure they're listening to you. So that way you understand what they want, what they need. Sometimes they don't need it.
Oh yeah, no, there's some customers I talk to, and throw that question out there. Oh, hey, so what's the reason you're canceling it? I just don't want it. Okay, well, do you mind if I ask why? And that's not every phone call. I don't want to think people think that I'm trying to pressure anybody to keep them. Like, if you don't want it, you don't want it. I'm not going to force you into keeping it. It's your money. It's not mine. That's one thing I never could make it as a car salesman if I wanted to. I just not that way. But definitely, throw that question out there. And some people are like, I don't drive the car that often. I don't usually do anything crazy with the vehicle, and I got enough money to fix it if I need to. Okay, all right, that's on you. You did your job as the customer. You read the fine print. You understood what you were getting. You went a couple of days and went, you know what, that's really not for me. And then you have other customers, like I was saying, that'll call in and be like, I don't want this. I'm like, okay, well, why not? They're like, it was thrown in. I'm like, well, this could really be beneficial for you. Kind of explain to them the contracts, and they're like, oh, you know what? I actually am going to keep this. Or then, without fail, I got the old, no offense to you older folks, but
what
you guys,
do you mean? Huh?
Man, if somebody calls you about your extended car warranty, I'm telling you right now, if they don't tell you what kind of vehicle you're driving, the year it is, chances are they're just trying to get you. They got you on the hook. You're there. Don't. If you know you have an extended car warranty, don't give them any information. Tell them to have a nice day. Hang up the phone. Go and find your paperwork that has the number for your extended car warranty. Give them a call, because there's at least once a day that I talk with somebody like, hey, so I got this letter or I got this phone call. And at least with, my company, or the company I work for, or the several others that I know about, if we contact you about anything, we will have your name, your phone number, your address, where you get your car serviced, the VIN number, the most recent mileage that we have on record. It's not going to be like 6 months ago, 7 months ago, that sometimes, these extra car warranty people have, done a little research and gone to the DMV and done all that fun jazz. But chances are they don't know what the heck they're talking about. They're just trying to get you and get as much money out of you. If you know for a fact you have an extended car warranty, don't talk to them. Just tell them to have a nice day, however you want to. I'm not going to tell you how to talk to them, but definitely just tell them have a nice day, and go and find that paperwork and call. Give whoever your car warranty is, give them a call. I mean, heck, we got Google nowadays. I know. Again, you older folks, I get it. But
Google
it. If you remember the name, you can't find the paper. Google it. I mean, you're going to find at least some number to call, and they're 90% of the time they're going to ask you for the last days of entering your contract number. And if you have either one of those, go ahead.
For the older folks, it could be AOL search or Yahoo search.
This is very true. This is very true. I forget. Again, showing my age here. Those are predating me, but
young whippersnapper.
90% of the time, like I said, VIN or contract number. If you have either one of those, if you don't, chances are we can search it by your name, but don't go with the, so your car's extended warranty is up, let us help you or whatnot. And then they ask you what kind of car you have, what kind of, how many miles. Don't do it. Don't give into it. They just trying to get something out of you, and you're going to end up with nothing, and it's not going to be worth it.
Well, it's a lot to look forward to. And the one thing that I know can sometimes be concerning for folks that do know they have an extended warranty is what do they do? And I always used to see all the time where customers would call in and they would try to start a claim with us or call us and ask what to do. And I always loved the phone calls of the folks that were sincerely trying to figure out what to do, what is different.
Oh, those are the best. The ones that want to do, like I said, do their job as a customer and understand what they need to do, how they need to do it, and how to go about it. Those are the people that, you know, understand, go with the flow, want to, you know, make everybody's life better, you know?
Yeah. And there's nothing different about it. And I know there's some folks that are out there that are watching that are service advisors. But for the customers, there is nothing different with having an extended service contract, or what is commonly referred to as an extended warranty, even though it's not a warranty by the manufacturer, it is an extended service contract. You go to the dealership, you still let them know everything that's kind of gone on with the vehicle, the problems you're having, the concerns you're dealing with. And as you sit there, they ask you these questions. They're a lot of times going to quote you some diagnosis charge or charges if you've got different varying concerns that could go in different directions, or multiple concerns, if you will. And don't be afraid of that, because if your extended service contract is just like your car insurance, you can have different levels of coverage. And as long as you've got coverage for whatever that repair is going to be, the extended service contract will cover the diagnosis, or at least cover it to a point that's understandable. Sometimes these shops can be a little far out there and they might way overcharge in diagnosis for whatever various reasons. Not trying to say anything against the shops, but it could be how the extent of the concern could be. It might be something that would take 4 or 5 hours. It's hard to say, but service contracts do usually have limitations on what they cover in the way of diagnosis. But if the repair is covered, they usually cover the diagnosis. So keep that in mind. Make sure, like Nick's talking about, the information to know your contract that you have. Educate yourself so that way you have an idea going in.
Give them a call. Ask them, hey, what is covered? What isn't covered? You know, you have your copy of your contract, but I mean, we look at them day in and day out. We know what they cover. We know what the main, big ones are,
And to put it into layman terms.
Yeah, exactly. Put it, you're not just looking at a piece of paper with a bunch of words on it going, what do I do with this? Okay, I think that's covered, but I think this is, just give us a call.
Yeah, give a call.
More than happy to, if you want to make the effort, then again, same way with the, if you're the customer at the dealership that, wants to come in, go with the flow, understand everybody's trying to do a job. If you want to give us a call, we remember that, that if the particular place we put notes every time we get on a phone call. We put notes of what the conversation was, how it went, what what was the concern, what was this. I've jumped around a couple different areas at the, place I work at, and, the dealers, customers, if you go to the dealership and you have one of these extended warranties, extended service contracts, give the service advisor as much information. Let them know what the heck is going on. And then to back that up, if you're the service advisor, don't be scared to call the warranty, service extended warranty. Don't be scared, but come prepared. If you come prepared, it's going to be way easier. I guarantee you, we're not on the other side of the phone going, oh, we're going to take forever to get back to you. We're just going to put you on hold for 20 minutes. No, that's not the case. If we put you on hold, we're either trying to figure out, okay, this is covered, this is something covered, or trying to make sure labor times match up. We're not trying to, gyp anybody out of labor times, or trying to, let anybody, give, we're not trying to hold money from anybody. We're trying to make sure that we honor that contract. But it's exactly that. We got to honor the contract. So if you have a contract that, doesn't cover AC, sorry, your AC compressor goes out, we're not going to cover it. It comes down to that. If it's not covered, it's not covered. You didn't get it, I'm sorry. And then you, as a service advisor, it's okay. You can tell the customer it's not going to be covered. Don't. I
But my
understand.
warranty told me it's all covered, bumper to bumper. We know better.
Yeah. No, again, I'm sorry. It happens, but you got to tell them no. Don't be scared of that. Sometimes, 90% of the time, if you tell them face to face, like, hey, this is why it's covered, go ahead and ask questions on why it's not covered. That's perfectly fine. But don't, as a service advisor, don't go to the warranty company and be like, well, I don't understand. They say it's covered. Don't come at us. We're trying to help you. We'll absolutely be more than happy to explain to you why it's not covered, where the verbiage is at in the contract. Heck, you can even ask us for that contract, and we can highlight on there. So you don't even have to. You just have to hand them the piece of paper.
Yep.
More than happy to do that for you. But again, it's exactly that. We're honoring the contract. We're trying to follow that contract. It's whatever you bought as the customer. You don't have to be scared of it. It's as a service advisor, you don't have to be scared of that. Oh, the customer said, I get it. And it goes back to the customer on that one. If it's not covered by your standard warranty, that is not the dealership's fault.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah.
Don't give them a bad survey. It's not that it does not correlate. Don't do that. You can give that extended warranty a call if you so be it, and want to argue with us. That's fine. We understand. We'll again explain to you, hopefully what the advisor explained to you. Maybe we can go more in depth, but don't ding your advisor. It wasn't their fault that it wasn't covered.
Right. And some of the things that I see a lot too is I talked on another episode that service advisors in dealerships and shops, because your contracts are primarily sold in dealerships.
Correct.
But they are sold outside of dealerships. Either folks can call in because there's a website they can go to, or there's a couple phone numbers, TV ads I've seen, or internet ads, and they can buy them and go to other shops, which is perfectly fine. The thing that I see all too often with advisors in shops across the board, dealership, private, whatever, is it's okay if you haven't done it before. It's okay if you haven't called in. It might be your first time. It might be your 100th time. It might be whatever in the way of having a bad day. Make sure you've got the most basic necessary information. We need to know the contract holder's name, not necessarily. It could be the person that dropped it off, but that could be the daughter or the spouse. If the contract's in the husband's name, we need to know that, because the very first thing we do is when you call in is we say, okay, what's the contract holder's name? I don't know. It's Bob. I'm sorry, that's not who it is. We need to know who that contract holder is.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to ask you the type of vehicle, because, hey, maybe they could have sold the car and forgot about it, and they still had that contract, not in their glove box, but in their purse or at home in a drawer. So they might not even have a warranty anymore and didn't realize it, because sometimes customers aren't the brightest, and we love them because they make our paycheck, but sometimes they're not the brightest. And we also need to know the current mileage on the vehicle, and not the mileage that was on the previous repair order, because that can affect a lot of things. We need to know the current mileage that's on it. And if you can't read that on the odometer, connect a scanner and pull it out of the PCN. If you don't have the equipment to do that, well, then the customer might need to make a repair to pay for the odometer until you can get that mileage, which, depending on their contract, that could be covered down the road. You need that current mileage. And
most, at least contracts I've run into, most of them have a date that they expire or a mileage that they expire on. So let's say it expires 100,000 miles and it's got 125,000 miles because, customer didn't want to, do that. At 125, you're you're well past. And I've seen before customers, dealerships calling, hey, customer has this going on. It's got 101,000 miles. Well, it expired at 100,000 miles, but okay, you know what? We'll cover it. It's right there on the border. That, or if you have a concern with your vehicle as a customer and you think it's something that may be covered, definitely go get it looked at. Have documentation of that, not just you writing on a piece of paper. Oh, it started doing this day. Take it into the dealership. Have them call it in. Have them call your extended warranty. Have that documentation, because I've seen more than once a customer call us, tell us, hey, you know what, engine's kind of being funny, finicky, whatnot. That gets documented 5,000 miles before the contract expires. You're looking at 15,000 miles after the contract has expired. Customer still has documentation of taking care of the vehicle, doing this. They've still came in with the same concern. Can't get that concern. I've seen engines disintegrate because they had that documentation earlier on. We've been able to go back, say, you know what? Okay, you've done all the required services. You've done everything right. We couldn't duplicate it. The dealership couldn't duplicate it. We have earlier documentation. We're going to cover it. Well, and I've seen that happen more than once.
And that can vary too, depending on the contract company that you have. I know
for sure.
with working with you in the past with this contract company, there was a grace period. It was kind of a unpublished grace period to the retail side of it. But not every contract company has that.
Oh yeah, no, because definitely. We're definitely on the smaller side, so we can definitely have those more intimate, I guess, relationships with our customers, and that way we can kind of, give them a little bit of leeway. We definitely understand everybody, especially around the holidays, people start, forgetting about, they don't have, oh, I got to go get this done, or, oh, hey, I got to get this service done. Definitely around the holidays, I see that happen a lot more, but
yeah,
definitely. And then I saw a question that came up. Do all aftermarket warranties, that one, have deductibles? It just depends on what contract you get, honestly. I mean, I know, a company I work for, we have some places, we have some contracts, depending on what you get, you can have a $0 deductible. You can have a disappearing deductible, which, for those of you who don't know, if you buy it at that specific place, that specific dealer, if you go back to that specific dealer, no deductible. If you take it to, let's see, you take it to a Ford dealership and you have a Toyota, for instance, you buy it at the Ford dealership, you buy a disappearing deductible. You bought it at the Ford dealer. Well, I have a Toyota, I'm going to take it to the Toyota dealership. Well, you bought a disappearing deductible. So if you take to that Toyota dealership, chances are you're going to pay a deductible. Usually that deductible is about $100. That goes towards the repair, but you're going to have to pay $100 out of your pocket.
So just like a copay, like a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. A copay, we're going to cover the big ticket items, the labor most of the time, the parts most of the time. It depends on what dealership you go to. Sometimes they like to hike up those prices. Well, we have a system that tells us how much that part costs, how much labor it costs to do that, and if it's above that, unfortunately, that's out of the ramification or, the specifics of that contract. Again, we have to follow that contract, or else, like anything else, we'd go out of business. There would be nothing left for us, and we're not trying to make money off you. We're not trying to, screw you over, but we have to follow that contract. That contract's put into place for a reason. And that's all we're doing. We're just there to
that's a good point.
Embrace the contract.
Well, that's because I hear that a lot from shops and talking with different folks that are still in the business. And they're like, man, those warranties, they never want to pay what we want to pay or what we charge. And, they never want to pay this, or they always try to screw us on the labor. And I think the thing that a lot of the advisors forget is 70%, 80% of their customers are all retail. They don't do a lot with fleet, which usually gets discounted, or they might have a specific advisor that does fleet. When they get these extended service contracts, it's where they kind of forget. And there's a few steps. Always, I used to tell folks, very first line on your RO, doesn't matter what system you have, whether you use CDK or Reynolds and Reynolds, every department always reads the first line on the RO, because it's kind of how, when you're in the dealership side, you can be like, oh man, look at this guy's complaint. Drove over dog in road. There's always something funny that's on the first line of the RO. So I
There's
always
some
used to tell
classics on
folks,
there.
yeah, I would tell folks, take that first line on the RO, concern A, concern number one, and make that your information line. Put on there, customer has extended service contract from XYZ extended warranty, contract number, has deductible, no deductible. Hey, parts, make sure this is at list/MSRP price, because the extended service contract companies, for the most part across the board, if you're at a dealership, will only pay the list or MSRP. They will only pay whatever the book time says. And extended service contracts pay for programs that show manufacturer labor times. They also pay for the commonly used guides like ALLDATA or Identifix that has like 5 labor guides in it, like Motors and Chilton's and Direct Estimate. Mitchell's another one. So depending on the service contract you have, they can see the labor times. And yeah, I know. I used to help out all of my technicians. I did the roundup thing where if a job was like 4.5 hours, I'd round it up to 5 and, make sure they got their diag. So they'd get 6 hours, if it was an hour diag. We get that. We all try to play that game as best as we can, because it's our paycheck, it's our technician's paycheck that's in play, and we're trying to do the aspect of making money in the parameters we're given. And parts obviously has their matrix markup, which is where I was talking about the list MSRP price. But when it comes to the extended service contract, we pay what the books say and the labor that the book says. And I think a lot of dealerships and service contract companies, or I should say dealerships and repair shops, lose sight of that, because we're doing our job just like they are, but we have our parameters. Anything and above beyond that, if you can't discount, that's going to unfortunately have to be on the customer. And in the warranty side of it, we'll let them know, hey, they can't discount for whatever reason. We can only pay the book time. We will never throw you under the bus and, oh, them guys, they're overcharging you. But, we'll say, hey, unfortunately, their systems and how their policies work, this is the price they go by. Unfortunately, we can only do this. And that's kind of it.
And, just for the, service advisors, if your technician has a wiring issue that is insane, that is crazy, you're looking for some extra diag time, something like this, don't be afraid to throw it out there. I've seen a couple times, the advisor calls in, tells us, hey, this is the situation, that's what's going on. I've seen sometimes, it's not a lot. I've definitely seen, 0.3 of an hour, or, half an hour extra thrown in there just because the advisor took that extra little time, kind of explained the situation, gave us an idea of what's going on. Okay, you know what? You're trying to work with us. We're trying to work with you. We don't have a bad dealership, especially with the dealerships. You guys are working just like we are. We're definitely going to try and work with you guys. We definitely can't swing it as far as you guys usually do, because you guys definitely have a lot more power in that you don't have a contract that you're trying to follow. But we can definitely try and help and it goes back to you're just like you're our customer. So if you want to come with us with as much information, overload us with information, let us try and determine and help you guys out. But you come to us like you'd expect your customers to. That's the best way I can explain it. Come with us with their name, the last date of the VIN, or the contract number. The contract number is always going to get you farther, 100%, and the name. You come with those two things, above and beyond, we can help you. And, again, crazy wiring issue or some crazy thing that's going on with the car, explain to us the best you can. We're definitely going to try and help you as far as we can swing it. in the parameters of that contract.
Yeah. Documenting everything definitely helps
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I mean, every little thing, just throw it out there, give it to us. Let's hear everything. You know, we're definitely going to try and be there to help you.
yeah, definitely. Well, Dakota, we've already ran about 25 minutes over. We probably are going to have to cut it off here. I know you've got stuff and you've got family and everything I need to let you get back to. And, but I do want to thank you for coming on and hanging out with us and, you know, having a good chat, talking about
Oh
some
yeah,
fun
no,
stuff and letting everybody get to know you.
it's been great, Kev. I love everything you're doing with this channel. I think it's great. I think it's going to help a lot of people understand a lot of things. And absolutely, I love where you're going with this. And it was a pleasure to be
Cool.
on. I'm glad I could come on.
I
Hopefully,
appreciate it.
be back soon. If you want me to, I definitely can
Yeah.
keep having conversations. But yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was a great time. I love everything
Yeah.
you're
Maybe
doing,
we
Kev.
could do a
Keep it up.
big group chat. So,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
well, we appreciate all the support. So hang out for just a second. I'll touch base with you here. All right, everyone. Well, hey, thanks for having Dakota Bradley on the show. We really appreciate it and being here tonight. I hope everyone had a great time that watched and really look forward to the episode here tonight. Again, if you like what you're seeing here and want to see more of it, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that bell so you can get a notification of all of our subscriptions. And again, like the video if you'd like to see more. I do really appreciate everyone that did watch tonight. So again, from us to you, thank you so much for watching the Parts and Service Desk. Have a great night.